begin with this talk about three things which devalues humanity. The first one, mankind really devalues humanity. And I'm going to say something that in 1960, it was in the 60s, I heard a cry. And my wife said, "Hurry, come, come." And she had given birth to our first child. She had given birth to our first child. And I'm going to spare you the umbilical cord, the blood. I'm going to spare you that. But what happened is that I said, we got to the hospital and the nurse said, "This is a beautiful 5-pound baby girl."
Oh.
And I said, when people say born in sin and conceived in iniquity, etc., this is really coming from ignorance. I have yet to see a little baby saddled with that. Conceived in sin and born. It's really from ignorance. And some condemn the little baby while in the mother's womb. This is contrary to God's justice and mercy. Now, what happens is that some of these concepts destroy themselves. I have yet to see a little baby, a serial killer coming from the nursery. This comes later, when the effects of society takes hold. But to condemn that little baby at birth, this is really gross. And what is so ironic is, and that's the first thing, mankind himself devalues humanity. And the second thing which devalues humanity, the second thing, is what I would call a racist zeitgeist. And that's the dominant spirit. A racist zeitgeist perpetuated by the use of the words black and white. Black and white. And show you a very radiant example of this is that you go to Germany. The Germans are defined as white in the vernacular, what we use as a language, acceptable language in American society. White. A racist zeitgeist. And what happens is, you go to Germany, the Germans are classified as white. The Jewish community is classified as white. The Arabs are classified as white. This is the language we use every day. But look at the devaluing of humanity that happened in Germany. Gross. But we accept this language unwittingly, but it perpetuates racism. What is racism? Racism is defined as the assumption that the abilities and characteristics of a person is determined by race. And one race is superior to another race. This is false. There are many people who are racist and not even know they're racist. Like a cold. Anyone who accepts racism, this is a sickness. When you think you're better than another human being, this is a sickness. So the terms white, black, it obscures more than it reveals. Now, everyone can't interpret religion. And what's so ironic is all the major religions are divided within themselves. What do you mean by what? Hey, what do you mean by that? You ask the Christian, does Christianity promote racism? He will say no. No, indeed, it does not. You ask a believing Jew that practices Judaism, it's a Jewish New Year. Look, does Judaism promote racism? No, indeed. Does Islam promote? No. They will say no, indeed. Well, where's all this hatred coming from? Where's all the racism coming from? You have a president that feels it's an individual divine right to be racist. Where is it coming from? Subtly, religion promotes this. I hate to say it. Everyone can interpret religion. If you're not guided by God, you're going to come up with the wrong reading. This is where the ignorance comes from. No one would claim racism, but the ignorance. Where's this racism coming from? It's a sickness. But these words here, look, American language is very confusing. To burn a house up and to burn a house down means the same thing. It's confusing. And if you're not guided by God, you're going to come up with the wrong reading. The 75th Psalms, the 68th verse, presents God as a drunk, and the Lord awakened like a mighty man that shouts by reason of wine. That's poetry. The leader should tell the people, this is poetry. It's not to be taken literally. This is the problem. The language. This is the problem. Everyone can interpret it. So this is where the sickness comes in. So, I'll say in conclusion, the final thing, which speaks to it, the final thing, the first is man, the racist zeitgeist, and the third one is there's no such thing as an apocrypha. There's no such thing as a man-God. These are mutually, when you hear the word Son of God, these are mutually exclusive terms. To be a son is to be less than divine, and to be divine is to be no one's son. So I'll say in conclusion, you could say just so much in 7 minutes. So I'll say in conclusion, man and woman were created to both be thinkers, to be logical, to be rational. But look what has happened. A lot of the women have become non-thinking receptacles for equally unreal man. And they both look for what it is to be a man or a woman, what they saw on TV or the movies. Or the bold and the restless, or the bold and the beautiful, or whatever. And when they don't hear the violins, they feel they are cheated. They feel they are cheated. So these three things. The racist zeitgeist, acceptance of these images. They were told not to make any graven images of the Lord. Do it not. They changed that. These images up here. That's God. So you see these presidential people. God looked like me, not like you. No, indeed. And we don't see. We don't see how the language. I'm going over, but I filmed it. I'm trying to capture this.
There you go.
Okay.
But we don't see. It's in the language we use from day to day. And if you're not guided by God, you're going to come up with the wrong reading. Bunch of men get in a place called the seminary, pardon the pun. Get that woman away from me. I'm not going to touch a woman. Oh, she's going to destroy my purity. And then the organization is fighting because these men take their lust out on the young fellas. This is where this comes from. The language. So, to recap, I thank you very much for listening. I know I'm going over, but I have so much to say in so short of time. But I'll learn the next time. I've been very derelict in not being within the 7 minutes. Thank you very much.